Chosen one. Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you, because right now something rare and unexplainable is being set inside you, a blue flame hidden deep where most will never look, burning when most have gone cold. I am telling you, this isn't imagination. It isn't emotion. It isn't a trick of the mind or a shadow of memory. The blue flame gift is real, placed by heaven, manifesting in power when every other fire has burned itself out. Right now, as you hear my voice, that combustion is beginning inside you with a heat so clean, so unyielding, that it will not falter like human passion and will not fade under pressure and time. Let me take you right into the heart of this for a moment. The blue flame gift is not like the natural fire that blazes up loud in front of everyone. No, that's ordinary, that's expected. That's what everyone tries to kindle with applause, with bravado, with the clutch and swarm of hungry crowds. But the blue flame burns beneath all of that, silent, blue-hot. Hotter than orange fire, but nearly invisible if someone isn't looking for the evidence. And there are people looking for evidence in your life right now, looking for something they can point to, something they can measure, something they can discredit, something they can mock, but the blue flame doesn't answer to them. It refuses to perform on their terms because it was never theirs. God Himself has deposited it underneath the visible layers so that no one else can put it out. Let me show you what happens the moment that blue flame activates in you. At first, you doubt it. At first, you think you're just being stubborn, just persisting because you don't know how to quit. But then something shifts. You keep moving when you should be exhausted. You keep praying when everyone else has gone to bed. You wake up when hope is low and there's still a kernel of certainty burning without explanation. Not just a spark, but a flame. Not just survival, but perseverance. Not just wishful thinking, but the kind of quiet confidence that outlasts every assault. People see you and they wonder, like, why aren't you finished? How come you're not broken? They want to know the source, they want to know the supplier. What they're seeing is the blue flame. Now let me take you into what this flame does to you in your private moments. The places where no one can see, no one applauds, no one is impressed. It's 3 in the morning. The darkness presses like a physical weight on your chest. Your heart is racing for no reason. Your mind replays the failures, the fears, the regrets, the faces of those who questioned you. Why do you keep holding on? Why don't you give up? Your skin feels electric, but not in a good way. Not excitement, not hope, but anxiety. Dread that sits in your gut like cold lead. You try to distract yourself. You reach for your phone, you scroll through old pictures, old messages, trying to find one good memory that will convince you this isn't all wasted. You try breathing slowly, counting the inhale, counting the exhale, but the tightness never leaves your chest. You pray desperate prayers, not beautiful ones, prayers that say, God, don't let me break, don't let me be humiliated, don't let them win. And you expect some sudden rescue, some magic comfort, but sometimes all you get is another hour of darkness. You take a pill hoping for sleep, but even the chemicals can't drown the ache or mute the questions. You watch the clock. The blue glow from the numbers 3:37, 3:54, 4:21 marks the slowest hours you've ever lived. But here, right in that torment, the blue flame is doing its work. It won't let you let go. It won't let you lose all faith. Morning comes and you haven't slept, but somehow your feet touch the floor. You get dressed, you move forward, not from an outer reservoir, but from that hidden fire that never asks permission. That doesn't show off. That keeps you alive long after logic says you should have quit. That's the proof the blue flame is real. Not a story you tell, but a life you live out in sweat and tears and raw honesty. Let me tell you what happens in your finances as the blue flame ignites. There are days, even right now, where you look at your bank account and there's no natural hope left. Promised payments are late, deals fall through, invoices you expected go unanswered. And every budget you make feels like a challenge from the universe itself. You're not spending on luxuries. You're pushing dollars around from necessity to necessity, praying that somehow God stretches what you have and fills the gap. At the same time, those who tried to curse you, those who hoped you'd falter, are watching for your collapse. But what they don't know is that the blue flame burns beneath, attracting favor you never expected. Small windfalls, unexplainable discounts, sudden jobs that show up when you've nearly given up. Not an explosion of wealth, but a steady, miraculous provision. Doors opening that no man can shut. The daily bread you prayed for handed to you not in abundance, but in just enough to keep moving. The blue flame keeps your oil from running dry. Now let me show you relationships when the blue flame is working. There are people who left you, not just walked away, but slammed the door hoping you'd crumble in isolation. Friends who stopped calling. Family that turned cold. Every unanswered text, every unanswered call, every subtle signal that you are now on your own. And it stings. Loneliness has a way of whispering, "It's over." But the blue flame won't agree. Right in the cold silence, it keeps you warm. You begin to attract new connections, stray kindnesses, strangers who speak a word at just the right moment. A message from someone who says, "I've been thinking of you." The blue flame draws in the right people, the ones who recognize what you carry because they fought the same battles. The old community is replaced with new covenant relationships. Not everyone, not a crowd, but just enough to remind you that heaven never leaves you stranded. The warmth is real, not sentimental, not forced. You are alone but not lonely. The blue flame will not let rejection define the boundary of your hope. Let me take you into your health, your body that's carried the tension of warfare. Maybe it's pain that comes for no reason, headache, fatigue, sleepless nights, a knot in your stomach that doctors can't explain. You do the blood work, you take the pills, you follow every instruction, but the discomfort lingers, taunting you. Sometimes you believe it must be punishment or maybe some curse thrown your way. But the blue flame refuses to let the sickness stick. It fuels a fight in you, a quiet insistence that says, "I will live, I will recover, I will not die in this battle." Where medicine fails, faith flows. Where diagnosis brings fear, the flame brings assurance. You start to notice tiny improvements. What was chronic pain begins to lessen, energy begins to return. Not overnight, but steadily, inevitably, unmistakably. The blue flame keeps your body moving toward healing even when the world doubts it. Now listen as I explain what's happening with your purpose, your work, your assignment. There are those who predicted your downfall, who waited for your platform to crumble, who listened for rumors and hoped for mistakes. You felt the pressure. You heard their whispers. Every public stumble felt like a chance for them to celebrate. But the blue flame makes you unkillable in your calling. When platforms shift, you adapt. When opportunities dry up, you find hidden ones the world can't see. You start over, you relearn, you relaunch, fueled by a determination resting not in ego but in obedience. The doors that closed only forced you to find the doors that can't be locked. The blue flame will not let your assignment die in the dirt. Here's something few will tell you. The blue flame also protects your reputation. People may lie, they may spread gossip, they may try to rewrite your story. Screenshots circulate, words get twisted, motives are questioned. But over time, truth floats to the surface. The blue flame endures every rumor and in the end brings your name out clean. Not by your efforts to defend, but by divine clearing. Those who watch to see you fall become silent as heaven vindicates you. The ones who cursed you are forced to admit what God has preserved. So let me say this as you stand in the heat of the blue flame. This is not for everybody. This isn't a common fire. This is the hidden proof of God's trust in you, a mantle worn by the few who refuse to surrender, the few who find hope where others see only ashes, the few who keep rising no matter how many times they're knocked down. Right now, As you hear these words, the blue flame gift is settling deeper. Suddenly. Overnight. Now. They hoped the dark would consume you, but you shone brighter. They wanted your fire to go out, but heaven set a blue flame in your bones. They thought you'd lose everything, but you kept just enough to start again. They tried to isolate you, but God brought new covenant friendships. They watched for your name to be ruined, but truth declared you clean. They waited for your body to fail, but strength surprised everyone. They longed for your purpose to die, but now resurrection power is breaking out. Chosen one. It's not just survival. It's blue flame living. Right now. Suddenly. Overnight. Now. Let me tell you about the reversal. How suddenly the tide turns while nobody's watching. You look back on long months where every step felt like walking underwater, where every prayer bounced off the ceiling, where they shook their heads at your stubbornness, wondering why you didn't just join them in resignation, why you didn't just admit defeat. But right now, while they have written off your story, heaven is composing a new chapter in secret. The blue flame has been quietly building what they dismissed as rubble into the foundation for your next season. And it always happens like this, when it looks ordinary, when it looks hopeless, when nobody expects a change. That's when the flame leaps higher. Fast, silent, overwhelming. Doors that were locked for years begin to swing open almost carelessly. The road that looked like it was paved with dead ends twists suddenly and reveals a path, your path, made clear by firelight no one else can see. Let me show you what those close to you cannot see with their eyes. You start to get calls you never expected from people who once doubted you, who suddenly want your input, your wisdom, your partnership. There's no explanation. They don't know how you survived. They barely recognize the strength in your voice. The same mouths that dismissed you are now speaking your name with respect, sometimes with apologies, sometimes too proud to admit what's changed, but shifting anyway. You hear it in their tone, the hesitancy, the surprise, the acknowledgement they cannot put into words. Because they sense it, the blue flame flickering under your daily words and actions. The reversal is indisputable, but nobody can take credit for it. Not connections, not strategies, not even your own talent. Something supernatural has lit this fire, and suddenly the old predictions about your collapse turn to astonished questions about your endurance. Let me bring you into the courtroom of heaven, where your name is spoken in places you have never entered. The blue flame is your evidence. All those accusations, spoken in anger, whispered in jealousy, circulated as rumor, are weighed against the life you've lived with clean hands and a steadfast heart. In this invisible court, the verdict is rendered not by those who gossip, but by the only one who has seen every motive, every tear, every unseen act of honest love. Vindication is not noisy. It is subtle, yet all-powerful. Suddenly the stories shift. Those who lied about you feel the conviction settle like a stone in their gut. People who intentionally misunderstood you can no longer deny the fruit of your persistence. The peace that sits on you, the doors that open for you. You don't have to argue, you don't have to defend. The flame itself makes its own case, and the evidence of its work can't be erased. Your accusers become silent. Some drift away. Some can't look you in the eye, and some in rare humility come back around, broken by the light that won't go out. And all the while, heaven is rewriting the ending to your story. Not just clearing your name, but honoring it. Let's get honest about what you felt in the days when the reversal was nowhere in sight, when every sign pointed to loss. You tried to step out in faith and the floor dropped beneath you. You stretched to give when you had little left, and the return didn't come for months, maybe years. They called you naive. They called you reckless. Some laughed about the blue flame behind closed doors. Some said you'd lost your mind. They would have bet money on your downfall. If there had been a wager, every practical observer, every spreadsheet, every voice of reason would have put it all against you. And if God had not held the final say, their predictions would have come true. But the blue flame doesn't answer to their math. It answers only to the breath of God and the courage to keep moving. The odds meant nothing, and now, overnight, you are the one standing. Where are the voices now? The laughter is gone. Those who mocked are quiet. The very people who doubted are asking how. Now, as you rise from reversal, vindicated and undeniable, heaven starts to commission you anew. Chosen one, the blue flame was never meant just for private survival. It burns in you so you can ignite it in others. This is the reason for the struggle, the grinding years, the nights of no sleep, and the mornings you wanted to quit. No true flame exists for itself. Every fire has a purpose: to give warmth, to consume what must be burned away, and to light the path for someone else. Heaven did not bring you through this for you to hide it. Even now, the commission is being spoken to your spirit. What I placed in you, go place in the world. What I healed in you, go bind up in another. What I confirmed in you, go declare over the ones still waiting in the dark. Let me show you what this commission looks like, not in dramatic gestures, but in daily obedience. You notice the ones who are barely hanging on, the ones hiding their tears, the ones who have stopped praying out loud, the ones who show up every day and never tell a soul about the silent battle. Something in you recognizes them because you've lived their hell. You pause for them when nobody else does. You speak words you once wished someone had spoken to you. Sometimes, it's nothing but a small gesture, a text, a prayer, a silent moment of solidarity. But the flame knows how to multiply itself. Every act, every kindness, every moment you refuse to let someone go under becomes a spark in their own cold darkness. This is how the blue flame spreads, quiet, potent, unstoppable. Not every fire needs to be seen to save a life. Let me go deeper. Part of your commission is to take the places of greatest shame, the places where you failed or where others betrayed you, and to carry the blue flame right into those wounds. You're not called to cover up what's been broken, to pretend it never hurt. God wants to use your scars as living proof that nothing suffered in faith is wasted. That word, commission, means to be sent with authority, equipped by experience, emboldened by survival. You didn't escape the fire, you lived inside it until it was transformed into something holy, something fierce, something useful. You are the evidence that perseverance still holds power in a world obsessed with shortcuts and applause. You are proof that a single small flame guarded by the hand of heaven can outlast every storm, every betrayal, every scheme meant to snuff you out. Now let me tell you what happens next. Because the blue flame will not let you settle for surviving yesterday's battle. It propels you into new territory. The very skills forged in secret are the ones that position you for rooms you never aimed to enter. Authority starts to rest on you in places where title and position mean nothing compared to the radiance coming from a life refined by honest trial. Doors open that should have stayed locked. People open up who swore they'd never trust or listen again. There is favor that cannot be explained, not just for you but for everyone connected to you. Your words carry weight, not because you speak loudly, but because you speak from the core of what you've lived. People feel it. They may not tell you, but they know. Something has shifted in your gravity. You carry the blue flame and it draws the humble, the hungry, the hearts brave enough to admit they need a miracle. Let me break it down for you. Your new assignment isn't about vindication anymore. It's about alignment. God is lining up opportunities, relationships, and breakthroughs to match the fire on the inside of you. And every time you step forward, you find resources appear just when needed. Not an avalanche all at once, more like daily provision just as before, but multiplied with every act of courage, every private yes, every time you refuse to trade the flame for lesser fires. Now, even in public spaces, even in crowds, there's no need to prove anything. You walk differently, you speak differently, you know you were kept alive for more than survival. You see it now, at last, God really does raise up those the world left behind. Do you understand the significance? Everything that nearly broke you has been turned into the authority with which you changed the world around you. Where you were mocked, release mercy. Where you were double-crossed, release blessing. Where you were tested, release strategy. The blue flame can't be hoarded. Its greatest power is in multiplication. Each life you touch becomes a new hearth, a fresh fire starting in places that were cold for far too long. Chosen one, listen to this decree and let it settle deep. They gave up on your name, but heaven wrote it in fire. They waited to dance around your ashes, but now they have to watch you build again. They predicted a slow fade, but you became a sudden surge. They tried to shame you, but God crowned you. They scattered you, but you gathered glory everywhere you went. They hoped you'd run out, but the supply multiplied. They whispered curses, but blessing set up residence at your address. They calculated your expiration date, but the blue flame renewed you past their forecasts. They thought they could stop you, but now you are commissioned, kept, and called. The blue flame is alive in you. It cannot be bought, bribed, buried, or broken. Suddenly, overnight, now. Let me walk you through the silent hour, the gap where the world hasn't caught on, but heaven is already moving. This is the in-between stage, chosen one. The night before dawn truly breaks, the moment vindication is sealed in the spirit but not yet announced on earth. Right now, those who wagered against you are watching with growing discomfort as the evidence keeps mounting but the source escapes them. They see your resilience, the way closed doors creak and shift in their hinges, the way calls come in at unlikely moments and opportunities present themselves with a precision they can't claim credit for. They chalk it up to luck, to something you must be hiding, or they try to convince themselves it's just a fluke. But nothing in your life looks accidental anymore. Each step lines up with a hidden order, a divine choreography that's quickly exposing their predictions as falsehood and smallness. Now here's the truth. Vindication isn't just about others seeing you differently. It's about you finally standing in the fullness of what God said about you from the beginning. The blue flame pulsing in your core burns away the residue of old failures, guilty memories, disqualifying voices. It's no longer about pleading your case for them or even for yourself. Your vindication comes stamped with heaven's approval, heavy with the weight of every night you kept your heart right, every hour you chose to bless instead of curse, every moment you pressed forward when your emotions told you to stay on the floor. You become unbothered by the old conversation, the recycled gossip, because that voice of not enough doesn't thrill or threaten you anymore. Truth now lingers around you like a thick shield, steadfast and gentle and untouchable by accusation. Let me show you with detail what it feels like to finally walk into rooms where months or years ago you were unwanted. There's a change in the atmosphere the moment you step in, a ripple that runs ahead of you. People stand a little straighter, some turn away, embarrassed, unsure if their old attitudes can survive the new light you're carrying. Others approach with curiosity, with a tremor of hope, searching your face to see if they can borrow courage for their own hidden wounds. You don't have to announce the shift. The blue flame does all the introducing you'll ever need. Offers come from places that never saw you. Old apologies, awkward and broken, begin to arrive, sometimes only in whispered words, sometimes as silent admissions in the way people change how they speak your name. You see now that all you lost was never as valuable as what you're gaining. Vindication doesn't just repair, it replaces. The old version of you, battered from defending against every attack, is left behind. You enter clean, weightless, dangerous in a holy way, because no one can buy or mimic what you carry. There are those who hoped your vindication would never arrive, Some planned it that way. Some spent energy, time, and even money trying to keep you boxed in, irrelevant, forgotten. They threw up distractions, confusion, fake crises, anything to trip you when you started regaining momentum. They rejoiced in any sign you were slowing down. They tried to intercept every word of encouragement heaven sent your way. But the blue flame frustrated their efforts. For every blow they landed, a deeper strength emerged. Every backhanded attempt to push you aside only served to affirm the call on your life. Now some are silent, some are bitter, a few are genuinely shaken, having witnessed a reversal they can't explain or undo. The truth is that some will never celebrate your vindication. They'll always search for some new flaw to talk about. But you are no longer available for their stories. You're no longer tethered to their limited view. The blue flame has put a boundary around your heart, a barrier they can't touch, can't cross, can't manipulate. Here's what you do with your vindication. You let it settle. You carry it softly as something sacred, not as a trophy to be flashed or a sword to be swung at old rivals. The power of your turnaround isn't for display, it's for distribution. Every space you walk into, every person you encounter becomes a landing strip for seeds of hope. The fire has its own gravity. People begin asking for help, advice, insight, not because you marketed yourself, but because what's on you calls them out of hiding. It draws out buried dreams, melts skepticism, exposes forgotten potentials. The blue flame in you becomes a spark catching in dry fields, quietly starting movements that will one day light up whole cities. In your vindication, you become a midwife for divine possibilities in places that others have labeled barren. This is God redeeming every humiliation, every wasted year, every agonizing silence. Now let me tell you about your commission and why it could only come after such fire. Your authority is not theory. It is tried in the furnace. Your words can cut through lies because you've had to silence them in your own soul. Every promise you carry is double-edged, healing you and everyone bold enough to trust you. Commission doesn't feel lofty, chosen one. At first, it feels heavy. There's battle fatigue in your body, but a new hunger in your spirit. You sense God's urgency. There's work to do and no one else is called to it quite like you. This is not a burden meant to grind you down. It is a mantle perfectly tailored to your scars, your history, your deepest unmet longing. You walk out what you wish someone had shown you. You refuse to hoard survival, and your prayer becomes, if you could do it for me, do it quicker, easier, for every soul I touch. You'll notice now that your voice carries farther, not just to familiar faces, but out into spaces and circles you never could have forced your way into. The blue flame opens doors influence can't open and pride can't keep propped up. You'll see others begin to rally, to form around the fire, confessing hurts you once hid, longing for strategies you never thought anyone would ask you to share. And here's where the work gets holy. You help them build where you used to weep. You show them how the night works, how God keeps a person alive in the cold, how not all fire flickers bright, and how those who wait it out, quietly burning, hold the secret to surviving any storm. You become an igniter, a restorer, passing out permission to hope again. You become the living contradiction to every generational curse, every self-fulfilling prophecy, every story that says the weak stay weak and the wounded stay broken. As you pour out from what you survived, the blue flame multiplies, catching in people, in families, in entire communities that have grown cold from disappointment. It's not glamorous at first. Sometimes it's just a string of phone calls, a handful of quiet texts, a prayer you pray behind the scenes. Sometimes it's standing next to someone on the very edge of hopelessness, letting your warmth bleed into their shivering faith, loaning out your endurance with no strings attached. But in these small, unnoticed kindnesses, you're turning the course of futures. Let me speak to your calling. There is no room left for doubt. Not because you won't feel afraid, but because the blue flame doesn't flinch for fear anymore. You step through doors with humility, but also with certainty, knowing what nearly killed you has left you alive and unashamed. Your story is not just for you. The very parts you hated, the nights you wished away, now become access points for rescue missions in the dark. You are sent not with arrogance, but as someone convinced, I am here only because God meant it, and I will leave light wherever I go. The fullness of your commission means you stop apologizing for miracles. When God provides, you testify. When impossible things fall into place, you give Him credit openly, refusing to shrink back for comfort's sake. You let the flame be seen, knowing only those hungry for hope will draw near. You don't have to manage the envy or suspicion. Heaven handles all that. You are free to run your race, to move when the Spirit says move, to settle only where the blue fires are meant to burn. And as you move, blessing follows. Not just for you, but for every drought-stricken field you cross. In time, even those who once wanted your downfall may find themselves awakened by the very fire they tried to smother. Now, chosen one, hear this closing decree in your marrow. They wrote you off as finished, but God has called you for new beginnings. They buried your name under slander, but heaven immortalized it in His roll call of the faithful. They plotted roadblocks, but you built highways on their ruins. They laughed at your slow season, but now they cannot keep pace with your acceleration. They assigned you to obscurity, but glory broke out from your exile. They tried to curse your future, but your family is tasting blessing after blessing. They said your voice would dry up, but every word you speak ignites hope again. They withheld opportunities, but the blue flame drew new doors wide open. All the whispers of shame and sabotage have fizzled out, overpowered by the roar of heaven's approval. The blue flame in you is alive, unburnable, inexhaustible. This is your reversal. This is your vindication. This is your commission. Suddenly, unmistakably, now. Listen carefully now, chosen one, because as the blue flame grows, another shift is breaking open and you are passing into the rare territory where reversal yields a harvest that can never be taken from you. There is a kind of authority being forged that can only come through fire. It can't be inherited. It isn't conferred by a vote or title. It's not the product of a curriculum or the fruits of simple ambition. This authority, this mantle you carry, is what causes even those who overlooked you to pause, look again, and recognize that heaven itself has endorsed your becoming. No enemy can argue it, no friend can fake it, no critic can diminish it. The reversal has happened so thoroughly that even leftovers of the old narrative, gossip, rumor, accusations, crumble at your touch. The blue flame consumes the debris of former stories. It rewrites reality in present tense right now as you stand on ground once scorched by disappointment. Let me take you inside the practical outworking of this vindication. It's a Monday morning and you wake, not with dread but with a certainty that the day is bowing toward favor. That even if confusion shows up in the calendar, it cannot have you. You hear news that months ago would have rattled your core. Delays, denials, not yets, but where panic would have claimed you, the blue flame keeps you anchored. Now, instead of fear, there is a curiosity in you. How will God turn this next? You're alert, not anxious. Not just surviving, not just scraping by, but witnessing the pattern. Setback, then answer. Attack, then advancement. Loss, then new life. You don't just wait to see what the enemy will do. You wake, expecting to see what heaven has planned even through the most common disruptions. Vindication now lives in your reflexes. Watch how even your enemies begin to recognize you can't be stopped. They hesitate. Their efforts lose heat. People who once felt empowered to confront or diminish you hold back, searching for some opening that is now permanently closed. The blue flame intimidates the old powers not through violence but through stability. It makes you unshakable. Out of their confusion, you gain more than sympathy or shallow apologies. You get their inadvertent respect. In every place where you were shamed or sidelined, the evidence stacks up, favor upon favor, break upon break. The very people who moved to distance themselves from your pain now reach out, compelled by the quiet might of your new joy. You don't need their applause. You already carry confirmation burning in your chest. Let me walk you into your assignment, because vindication is only the threshold. Your true commission is beginning now, not in some dramatic future, but with every small choice you make in these ordinary days. Every old wound has become wisdom. Every former fear has become empathy. Every place you once mourned becoming the field where miracles break out for others. The blue flame inside you is now radiating outward, kindling vision in people so desperate for hope that they have trouble believing anything good could touch their lives again. But they see you, and the pattern you model, the faith you embody, quietly pulls their future out of hiding. Your commission is not merely to be seen, not just to be the story of what God did, but to be His doing in this generation. The words you speak now, seasoned by sorrow, refined by resistance, carry creative force. You don't need grand gestures. You lay hands on the discouraged and their sleep returns. You sit quietly with the grieving and their spirits mend. In business meetings or simple errands, your steady presence recalibrates a room. Arguments dissolve, clarity surfaces, laughter returns to dry places. Where you walk, the atmosphere bends. What used to be impenetrable is softened by your humility, your authority, your flame. You become a builder, starting again in places others abandoned, speaking dreams over projects, families, regions marked by long defeat. There's a new boldness in you that isn't abrasive but unstoppable. You are not afraid to risk compassion. You're not afraid to call others up out of the ashes, because you know there is no wilderness God can't break open to blessing. People begin to ask you that, how did you survive? What kept you going when nothing changed for years? And you tell the truth. I wasn't clever or strong. I just burned until God revealed the new thing. And if He did it for me, He'll do it for you. Let me take you beneath the surface again, to the secret moments everyone overlooks. On the drive home, you sense the Spirit whispering, "Speak peace over your rivals. Pray for your old betrayers." At night, you quietly lay every wound on the altar, not demanding vengeance, but releasing mercy. And suddenly you notice, offenses are lighter. The urge to revisit past conversations is gone. You know what it means now to be untouchable. Not because accusation disappears, but because accusation cannot land. You walk freely among the same faces that used to cripple your confidence, and you give smiles, you give grace, you hold the room without effort, because your vindication came from the one no one can cross-examine. The blue flame refuses to let you settle into old bitterness. You release, not because you forgot the pain, but because you outlived it. You outgrew the traps, the accusations, the need to explain yourself one more time. Now your very countenance is a sign that redemption runs deeper than regret. You begin spotting others who are moments from quitting, and with very little fanfare, you impart the permission to continue. Your scars become symbols not of your shame, but of God's refusal to let you be wasted. Let me show you what commission looks like in your influence. Suddenly, conversations are drawn to you. Leaders, wanderers, even skeptics sense something unmanufactured and come near. You find yourself giving advice to people you once feared. You carry a poise that can't be undone by a single loss or misunderstanding. Strategies arrive in the night. Solutions come while doing small chores. You minister without striving, and miracles follow your obedience like ripples pushing from the center of a quiet lake. Not just gatherings, but systems and cities begin to shift as you step up. You're not striving to build a platform, you're pouring oil. Favor builds its own platform under your feet, and the blue flame lights the way forward. Let me testify. This is the part that lasts, chosen one. No storm, no derailment, no scheme can undo what's been etched in bone and spirit through sustained fire. What God marked as yours, no man can withhold. The reversal wasn't luck. The vindication wasn't coincidence. The commission wasn't man-made. It was always the result of the blue flame gift, set in you for this moment, prepared for these people, fashioned for this hour on the earth. Let me speak the closing decree over you now, so you walk out bearing every promise with holy fire. They called you finished, but you became a forerunner. They gambled on your failure, but now they bet on your wisdom. They set you outside, but God drew the circle wider. They whispered shame, but you declare story after story of rescue. They said this was your end, but God has made you the beginning of something new in your bloodline, your city, your generation. No more fear, no more hiding, no more apology. Just blue flame burning in daylight and midnight alike. New tables are being set for you. New assignments are breaking through the ground at your feet. Your legacy is rising with every obedient step. The combustion is increasing. The glow is unstoppable. The evidence is everywhere. Right now, as you read these words, the old reversal is permanent, the vindication irreversible, the commission activated. No force on earth can diminish the blue flame gift in you. It will keep you, renew you, multiply through you, suddenly, fiercely, again and again. This is not your undoing. This is your unveiling, and it begins even now.